Well-needed conversations. Let's get into it.
There's clearly a lack of spaces for black male perspectives to be heard. There's been an intentional silencing of black male voices, which causes black men to draw inwardly and embrace their ego. Likewise, black women have had to deal with the strong, independent narrative, which causes us to believe we don't need our men. So I'm genuinely happy that spaces are being created that honors masculinity. The balance is necessary and long overdue. Some say men are the prize, some say women are the prize. But what good is a prize if you can't use it? I can't charge my phone by sitting it next to a wall socket. I can't charge my phone by plugging it into a charger that's not connected to a power source either.
By the way, before she gets into more and stuff, like, this is the type of things I'm telling y'all guys about. Like, I do so many different videos in regards to this topic. You're not going to hear many black women say the things that she's saying. I don't even know who this girl is, but I got a couple of videos that she's pretty much, we're going to be reacting to her videos, and she's speaking along the lines of being cooperative, like the black men and the black women, black men and black women being cooperative with one another, being in unity, being in harmony, and that's the only way we're going to get ahead. But it's way too many black women who don't believe those same things. They feel like they should be independent, and there's way too many black men who we don't feel like we can actually be compatible to have a peaceful, successful life with a black woman, because we feel like she brings a lot of drama, a lot of baggage, and a lot of other stuff. So
plug and the socket complement each other in order to create balance
Exactly.
and power as a result of that balance. What I'm saying is this: we're not the prize until we come together. We don't have power alone. That's why the society works overtime, hell double time, to keep us separated. We work better together. We were made for each other, and it's time we understood the power we can create when we choose interdependence.
it truly makes you wonder. A lot of things that happen systematically have happened systematically and still happen to this day, where they figure out ways to keep the black woman and the black man at enmity with each other, with one another. They figured out ways systematically through the welfare system, through all different types of ways, through black men being in prison, the privatized prison system and things like that. They figured out ways for the black man to not be in the household with his children and his wife or his woman. They figured out ways. And it's like, it makes you wonder what scares the powers that be so much that they have to intentionally put this much effort into systematically making sure we're not on an evil, because what they're doing is evil, but an even playing ground with whites.
Is the idea of the nuclear family rooted in white supremacy? There are those who believe the nuclear family discourages the African village extended family concept. There are those who believe it destroys the idea of polygamy. And there are those who believe men are obsolete and that heteronormative ideologies need to be eliminated. Crazy thing is, the root of each of these ideas has the nuclear family at its core. It's the common denominator. You don't have villages without multiple families that make up these villages. You don't have polygamy without both men and women deciding to build on the foundation of what is a biological design. The idea of a man and a woman reproducing to make a child is not a social construct. And no human, including our LGBTQ family, would exist without the heterosexual activity required to produce human life. Why would any person advocate against the very thing that makes their existence possible? Why do we advocate against the biological design of family, as if our broken families isn't one of the main reasons why we're disenfranchised as a people? We have to protect and preserve the black family at all costs. Our existence depends on it.
Yeah, and exactly. And the nuclear family, from my understanding of what it means, which means a mother, a father, and children, is the basic foundation to this whole human existence and society that we live in today. Like she said, there's no such thing as any type of community or group of people without the nuclear family, without a man and a woman coming together and then procreating. There is no such thing as that. There's no such thing as anything else without the nuclear family, or anything else without man and woman having children, having a family. Everything outside of that, everything else is non-existent. Only reason everything else exists is because of that. And everybody's working so hard to destroy that. And then you got people saying that it's the nuclear family is supposed to be like white supremacy because of topics and like polygamy. Now, the only thing I think about polygamy is there are, from my understanding, far more women than there are men, right? Men go to war, men get killed more often, men go to jail. Men don't even live as long as women. So I was talking to my dad about this. And he said the reason why back in the day there was polygamy was something that was allowed is because prostitution was so rampant. Because there weren't enough women to marry the men, because there was less men than women, they allowed men to have multiple wives for financial purposes, because women weren't the breadwinners like how women are now in today's day and age, right? Back then, women couldn't support themselves. So if they didn't have a family or if they didn't have a husband, they had to, not had to, but in most cases, they would sell their body for money. This is something I've been, thinking about as far as a nuclear family, man, one wife, and children. The most healthy situations relationally come from a man and a woman raising children, and children being raised in a home with just one mother and one father.
A part of thinking critically is understanding the feasibility of things we advocate for. No one can negate that a mother and a father is necessary to create life, and growing up in a two-parent household hosts an array of benefits. This doesn't alienate the extended family, but we say things like it takes a village, as if our extended family is in a position to create that village communal lifestyle. We're an antisocial society. People don't even talk to their parents, let alone their extended families. Can we think critically about what's actually feasible? And as far as polygamy is concerned, when men are able to provide spiritually, mentally, financially, and physically for multiple households, then we could campaign for polygamy. I really don't know why we're trying to adhere to antiquated ideas in a modern world knowing that it's not feasible. Regardless, I still believe that the family consisting of the man, the woman, and children is a biological design working in conjunction with evolution to continue our species. And the biological design of family has existed since before white people walked this earth.
Now, the only thing I would say that I would kind of most likely disagree with in this whole situation is, but she said that she don't think that in this modern day era or modern day age that is feasible for polygamy. And she has to be talking about the states, the U.S., because the majority of the world is a third world country, so to speak. The majority of the world is not nearly as developed as the U.S. is. And a lot of these European countries and a lot of these Asian countries like China, but definitely like the U.S. is definitely one of the most developed. And these also other European countries are more developed than these underdeveloped nations and stuff like that, which is done systematically anyway. But we're not going to get into that right now. But polygamy is actually practiced, especially in the Arabic culture. It is common in other parts of the world to have multiple wives. But right, she's correct on the fact that if you're going to have multiple wives and have multiple children, provide for multiple households, you need to be able to provide financially. So you got to be a rich person, first of all. First and foremost, you have to be a rich person. And I feel like a lot of the laws have made it so that they make it hard to have a lot of kids because it's so expensive. Like, for example, like if Will Smith had 10 baby mamas, he would practically be poor because each baby mama would take so much of a portion of his money. It's not even funny. I ain't even mean to rhyme. For example, like if I had a child with a woman, I would probably have to pay $1,000 a month. Let's say me, right? Because I'm a regular person right now. But Will Smith will have to probably more so pay that person like $10,000 a month. Now, why does that child need $10,000 a month? And we all know that money goes straight to the mother. Why would that child need $10,000 a month? Why? Because it goes based on his tax bracket. It goes based on, like I said, his tax bracket, how much he makes. They take a percentage. It's like, it don't matter how much you make. They're going to take a certain percentage and say, this is how much you owe the woman for that child if you're not with that woman. And so because of that, they make it hard to even be a polygamist or to have multiple wives or to have multiple women because the women take so much of your money. All right, now she specifically explains why the black family is broken up.
I'm going to give you several reasons why black relationships struggle. 1, we were taught that we don't need a man. When in slavery, black women had to survive on their own. Black men were taken away from the family and breeded like animals with multiple women.
Did you hear the first thing she said, though? Before we even get on to anything else that she said about this whole situation, the first thing she said, hey, that frustrated the heck out of me. And she said that we were taught that we don't need a man. She said, but she began the whole phrase, the whole statement, why black families do not get along, or as far as like the woman and the man don't get along. But then she said we. Now, you're talking about the general subject of why both men and women in the black community have such struggle so much. But then you basically just revealed that you guys are taught not by aunties and all other type of women ahead of y'all or before y'all, like grandmas and aunties and stuff, that you guys don't need a man. Y'all can be independent. See, this type of bullcrap I'm talking about. Women are taught, they are bred this way. Black women are bred this way from children.
Black women had to be strong and independent. This forced independence made black men feel like they weren't needed. Therefore, they tend to have the mentality that they aren't needed. 2, currently in this society, black women make more money than black men, and it's designed that way because they want women to lead and not the man in the black family. Because of this, black men don't feel respected, and all men want to feel respected.
I don't necessarily agree with that. That's not really the reason. We don't feel like women don't need us. You know, because I've asked women this. It's like, okay, y'all say y'all independent, but what happens if somebody try to break into your house? Matter of fact, if you were with a man, right? If you and black women are so independent, if you were with a man, and you know, your boyfriend or whatever the case is, and somebody breaks into the house, what if he said to you, "Oh my gosh, I'm scared. Can you go check and see what that is? Why we hear that noise at the window or the door?" How would you feel about that? You want a man. You guys are not as independent as y'all think you are. You want a man to handle things that you guys aren't designed for. Women aren't designed for protection. Men are. So there's certain things. See, women like security. And when they like security, that means money. Most time we think money. No, security is the full circle. It's the money. It's the protection, right? Money, protection of the kids. Everything. It's a lot that goes along with it.
The final reason is we have been taught to hate ourselves. So we prefer people who are outside of our culture or lighter than us in order to diminish our black features. And that's so sad. We have to learn who we are. Everyone comes from a black woman.
Oh, gosh. It's so many things I disagree with. And she said that we prefer things outside of our culture or people outside of our culture or that look different than us, or have lighter features, which is not necessarily true because black women, it's a statistic, black women are with more black men than they are with any other race. Matter of fact, any woman of their own race wants to be with that man of their race more than any other group of people, if that makes any sense. Basically, if a woman will rather get with her own group first before she starts looking outside of her group of people, her race, her ethnicity, things like that, her culture, she always will look first to her own culture. Because that's just women. That's how they are. That's what they feel more safe with. So what she's saying doesn't make sense. Now, I would say this. Black women don't necessarily want to get with lighter men. It'd be the black men that be wanting to get with lighter women. Because a lot of black women actually like tall, dark, handsome men. That's what they like. You know, especially if they're tall as well. And then they're dark and they're also handsome. That's like their ideal man. A lot of them. But black men's ideal woman is a light-skinned, nice-shaped woman. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of goes. She doesn't have a full broad. She didn't really break this down really well. But anyway, I appreciate and respect her for her, her thoughts and opinions and input on that.